Hi, I'm Anita Adams. I'm with First Weekend Club, and I'm here with Jay Baruchel, who is the writer, director, and you're also starring in Goon, Last of the Enforcer. So thank you so much for meeting with me today. This is pretty exciting.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, well, I actually, we had an awkward encounter once.
Did we? Oh, okay. Let's hear it.
I met you for the very first time at the Toronto International Film Festival,
Yeah.
and I got onto an elevator, and you were on the elevator, and in my awkwardness, and I'm afraid I'm one of those awkward people. I'm just,
Makes two of us.
oh great, that's probably why it was so awkward.
Yeah.
I dropped my purse. You graciously bent down to pick it up. I went down to pick it up too. Fortunately, we did not bang heads. Then you handed me my purse, and I'm like, "You're Jacob, aren't you?" And I feel like I'm going red right now. And I totally knew you were Jay, but I'm also a big fan of Jacob Tierney.
He's a lot. I get it. So am I.
Yeah. So,
And I
anyways.
said, no, I'm the other one.
Yes, you did.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Anyways, I just got off that. Yeah, I'm totally going red just talking about this story. But, anyways,
Now listen, I could do a lot worse than be mistaken for Jacob Tierney.
Well, the thing is, I knew who you were, but I was just embarrassed
Our
and
names
awkward.
are very
and
similar.
That's right.
Our names are very similar.
But here we are.
And we are indeed.
And you have this fabulous new film that's coming out. I was a huge fan of Goon. I've probably seen it like 5 times.
Oh,
I
awesome.
love it.
Awesome.
Shown it to my son, shown it to my kids. This is why my son wanted to be here
Very
today.
cool.
Actually, he's a fan of yours for a number of films.
Awesome.
But so I dragged him along. Love your projects. You're a very talented artist. And this is is it your first foray into directing?
So first time I directed a feature. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Well, tell us a little bit about that experience. What made it so crazy?
Oh, just that I was finally getting to do what I've wanted to do since I was a little kid, which is to get to direct movies. That's like, as far as I'm concerned, is the best art form the world has come up with so far. So I have a great deal of like reverence for that gig, and so yeah, it was wicked. But once the sheer elation of I get to direct a movie wore off, then it was I have to direct a movie, and this movie specifically that has lots of characters and lots of action, and it takes place over the course of 9 or 10 months, and we tried our best in earnest to make like a Canadian epic, and yeah, that takes some doing.
No kidding. So Goon, the first Goon, did you always have in your mind that you were going to direct the sequel to it?
Oh God, no. If ever there was going to be a sequel, we always intended for Michael Dowse, our director from the first one, to direct the sequel. And Jesse and I wrote this script and developed the script for Mike to direct. And only when circumstances dictated that he couldn't return did there was like now a hole in who could take over. And it was Sean William Scott and Marc-Andre Grandin, who each independently asked if I would think about doing it. And I quickly said I would love to, and then somehow convinced the producers that I could do it, and here we are.
Well, fantastic. Now that's so if I'm hearing you correctly, though, directing is something that you've always wanted to do. So was acting a means to create that?
Oh, completely. No, I don't want it to sound like I have anything less than a complete respect for acting and what the life it's given me and my family. But I was always in acting because I liked being on set and movies. I wasn't in movies and on set because I liked acting. So it was always a way to, it was a job I wasn't half bad at, and in the meantime, I could keep learning and working towards the thing that I actually wanted to do. So.
Right. And working with some very talented directors too. Michael Dowse is one of my favorite directors. I was just talking to David Ray this morning,
wow.
And so he's working on another film, and of course he directed you in I think it was his very first feature film, Fetching Cody, which he said to say hello.
Hello back.
But that's so it's interesting. You've done so many things and worked with so many wonderful filmmakers.
Yeah, it's been pretty cool.
And here too, or down south too, right? Quite the career down south.
Yeah. No, I was lucky enough to work in the States from the age of 18 up until now. So, And what's real cool about getting to work in the two different countries and working all kinds of different movies at varying degrees of size and scope and budget, I have a very real sense of what each of those feels like and what a set should be, I think. And I tried my best to let that inform how we ran our set.
Right. Now I've read somewhere that you're a really passionate about Canadian cinema and supporting Canadian cinema. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, it's, like I said, it's the best art form the world's come up with so far, and I was raised to believe this is the best country the world's come up with so far. And so if we were in any other country in the world, no one would ask why I wanted to create in the country I live in. But Canadians are at a strange, English Canadians are at a strange cultural disadvantage, given that 90% of our television and our cinemas are filled with foreign culture. That's just the God's honest truth. And that's not America's fault. That's our fault.
Yeah.
And so but yeah, I wasn't born in another country. I was born here, and I love movies. And if I can do anything if I can give anything to our culture and leave something behind, and at the very least just give something for Canadians to be psyched about, then that justifies me doing it. Yeah.
Fantastic. I want to go back to talking about you moving into the role of a director. We have a lot of fans, a lot of members who are emerging filmmakers, and it takes a lot of hard work. Do you want to just talk about your process and maybe any words of wisdom that you can share with, like persistence and what you've had to do to get to where you are today?
Yeah, I mean, persistence is more than half of it. Because it's not about can you take one punch and can you last a round. Can you take a bunch of punches, last 12 rounds, and keep going? Because you will constantly have the wind knocked out of you. You will constantly be rejected. A feature film is a very, very hard thing to make. And most movies, even the real crummy ones, are miracles. And that's, I think, what people don't realize is how hard it is to get the financing, the location, everyone in the same spot at the same amount of time. It's not easy, and there are plenty of people that have great ideas but have nothing to show for it. And I think it was like Stephen King who said, like, ideas are worthless. Everyone has ideas, and so it doesn't matter how good your idea is if you can't find a way of doing it. And so, it's just you got to believe in the story that you want to tell and believe it's worth telling, and you've got to fight to do it. And also, I think it's wrong to be singularly focused on that one story, because that could take half a decade for it to get made. So in the meantime, you should always be creating and look for any chance to make stuff, any chance to write, all of your free time, or as much of it as possible, should be devoted to your craft and learning about movies and thinking about movies and writing movies, watching them analytically, whatever it is. If this is really what you want to do with your life, then you'll find a way to do it. But you have to you have to give your life to it.
Right. Put yourself out there and face the rejection and keep getting up and going and doing it over and over and over again. Fantastic. Tell us a little bit about your film. It's opening this Friday on the 17th, and we want people to go see it at the movie theaters.
Yeah, it's a big old school good time. We try to give people an old fashioned night out. So you go to see our movie, and there's some really good sport, great fights. Hopefully you laugh, and hopefully you feel something too. And we just want to give people their money's worth. So if you dug the first Goon, we made this for you. So I hope you dig it.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Such a pleasure to meet you properly.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, great. Okay.